Hello, welcome to Skull RPG Podcast. My name's Dwight Skull.
My name's Jacob Skull.
And today we're going to teach you how to tell your story.
So Dwight, how would you take like a 1 to 2 sentence idea and make it into a campaign?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that reminds me of is I was reading, I think it was Olson Scott Card is the writer of the Ender's Game series. And he said that back in like the 70s, or maybe it was in his high school or something like that, he had this concept of a battle simulator in a sci-fi adventure. Well, that idea, of course, doesn't lead to you writing 12 books or whatever in the series right now, in one movie. But what it did lead to him doing is realizing to start building off, like, what civilization would need that kind of scenario? What kind of history would go into needing a battle scenario? If you're not familiar with the Ender's Game stuff, it's really kind of a cool concept. It won't ruin the movie for you or the book. Definitely excellent read and watch. But they have the whole thing was based on a concept of kind of like a danger room-esque thing where basically you're in a zero-G environment like you're in space, and you're basically just trying to, in some way or form, kind of a capture the flag type of scenario. You're supposed to get to the other side and take over the person's base. And you have little light guns, and if you shoot somebody's armor or something, it'll actually constrict. It'll constrict, so you can lock their arms and legs. And there's a couple of really cool spots in there where, the guy realizes, wait, if I shoot my own legs and just start tumbling and rolling at people and they shoot my legs, nothing really matters. I saw my arms and I'm using it as a shield and using dead bodies as a shield. I mean, they're not dead, but they're like frozen, and it's kind of crazy all the stuff in there. We only need
a certain amount of people to capture the base, so we use the rest of us to huddle into a ball and we just create a mobile shield for them.
Yeah, just all these cool military tactics. Well, of course, it leads to an entire intergalactic type of war and all these other things. And so that said, like, how do you take a concept like a war game scenario and move it into an actual full-fledged campaign? And I think what you do is you do exactly what Olson Scott Card did, which is you ask, well, what kind of world would require that to be a thing? What kind of history requires that to be a thing? Why are people using that? What's going on with it? So I would say let's pivot to an idea. Do you have an idea for something?
Corrupted angels.
Okay, corrupted angels. So we have a cool concept around, I want to deal with angels that have fallen from their spot. So if we look at angels in a D&D world, angels typically serve a god. And because of their alignment to be lawful good or mostly lawful good, they typically then only serve good deities. Mm-hmm. If you want other things like that, you could probably make up your own angels that follow, they follow other evil deities and they have an alignment very similar. But regardless, what would happen if an angel was following something like the god of Pelor, which is, at least in the 3-5 scenario, a lawful good deity? I believe he's lawful good. And that, and he demands, he demands respect and, and alignment to his own beliefs. And these angels are his messengers and his enforcers. And so what happens if, what world could you create where an angel is no longer serving Pelor because Pelor did something that the angel found to be incomprehensible? Mm-hmm. That's one way to go. So you create a world where maybe Pelor decides that he needs to kill off a bunch of people because they're not following what he wanted them to do. And the angel determines that murder is actually an evil act in his brain, and so he can't do it anymore.
You could also have the opposite, where you could have a bigger demon basically corrupt the angel, so now it's more of kind of like a fiendish thing, but it's not a demon.
Yeah, so that's like a Tolkien understanding of the world, where all of the monsters in the world are basically functionally fallen elves or fallen, high-powered other things.
Yeah.
Twisted over time. So yeah, you could have an angel that gets captured, and after a millennia, it's twisted into, a fallen angel that has Stockholm syndrome, basically. You could create a scenario where maybe there's some sort of artifact that has the ability to destroy just angels. It doesn't destroy them in terms of killing them, but it destroys their morality, it destroys their alignment. It's just like this greater artifact that you're trying to race against to stop this other wizard from obtaining, because they want to use it to basically, take over one of the angelic realms. Let's see. Another reason you could use a fallen angel or have a fallen angel theme is that you could actually use a fallen angel as a betrayer. So there's a lot of things that have polymorph, including angels that can do polymorph self. So what if there is a creature who's not an angel whatsoever, but always appears to you as if there's some sort of like planetar or solar, something like that. And they're trying to, do the Blues Brothers, you're on emissions from God type of scenario where you guys are always thinking you're following the will of a deity. And in reality, what you're doing is you're messing things up for that deity, but you're being duped because of, certain amount of spells and things. And this would work really well with like a lower level character who can't yet do some of the detections or wouldn't think about doing the detections, as it were. And so that's one thing to think about as a fallen angel, because it's not technically fallen, but it looks like it's fallen. So I don't know, I guess that's an example, maybe 7 examples or 6 where you just take what you think is a good idea and you figure out, well, how would I work this in? And I would say just start creating a world or a story where that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then tease it out little by little to your players, or give it to them wholesale. I mean, obviously, if they're being duped, don't give it to them wholesale. Tease that out when they got to figure it out. But other than that, I think that's how most stories and most campaigns actually get built, is somebody has a little bit of a story that doesn't feel like it's much of anything. But with just a little bit of work, you could pretty much change how you think about it and create a pretty decent little storyline. Well, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for listening.
And for more resources, please go to skullrpg.com.